Hi, my name is Peter Knegt, and I'm here with Elegance Bratton, the director, writer, and inspiration of the film The Inspection, which is in theaters now. Thanks so much for being here with us.
Oh wow, thanks for having me. It's exciting.
Congratulations on this film. I saw it recently for the second time. It's such powerful storytelling, so confidently directed, and it just got nominated for a bunch of Spirit Awards.
My mom, she won't even talk to me. Most of my friends are dead or in jail. If I die in this uniform, I'm a hero to somebody.
So for those who aren't aware, do you want to talk a little bit about the film, which is based largely on your own experiences?
Sure. The Inspection is about a black gay homeless man, Ellis French, who joins the Marine Corps in order to win back his mother's love, but after surviving the trials of boot camp, learns how to respect and love himself. It's also my story. I was kicked out of my house when I was 16 for being gay. I spent the next 10 years homeless, and when I joined the Marines, I got there pretty much worthless, at my bottom, and I thought my life had no value, meaning, or purpose, until I was fortunate enough to have a drill instructor remind me that my life was important, it was valuable, because I had a responsibility to protect the Marine to my left and to my right. And that's why I made the film. You know, we're living in very polarized times, and I just wanted to kind of go back to a moment in my life where I learned how to listen to people who are very different from me, and in hopes that it would help the world learn how to listen to each other.
Going back to that time in your life, whether it was through writing the screenplay or directing scenes that depict what you've been through, like, how challenging was that?
It was quite challenging to direct a movie that's full of moments in my life that were traumatic, but you know, this movie is 100% autobiographical when it comes to the hopes, fears, motivations of Ellis French, our lead character, even if it's not a situation I've personally been through. But when it comes to the stuff between him and his mother, that was really, really overwhelming because it's all out of my life. One example was in the opening of the film, he goes to his mom's house to get a birth certificate, and the apartment that we created on set is built off of an apartment that I had never returned back to. And I wanted so badly to return back to. And I didn't really contemplate the emotional weight of that until I got on set and I was in the space, and I'm like, oh wow, like on one end I'm very, very, sad about it, because it's like, wow, I had to do all of this to go back to my mom's house again. But then as soon as that feeling hit, I was filled with pride because look what I did to get, ownership over my life.
I need you to help me. I'm gonna be a Marine.
Marines. No, you ain't gayer than two left shoes, and everybody can see it.
Yeah, and I imagine like closure that some people would never be able to get because of this.
For sure. That's why I'm so grateful to Gabrielle Union. My mom, she was killed a few days after the movie was greenlit. And I'm really grateful for Gab because she helped to bring my mother back to life so that I could have that sense of closure.
And you dedicate the film to your mother, who obviously was a very complicated woman, but I feel like this film, depicts her in such a complex way that is kind of extraordinary.
Thank you so much. Yeah, my mom was the first person to ever love me completely, also the first person to ever reject me wholly. She was an orphan from the age she was 10. She had me at 16, so yeah, she was a super complicated woman. But at the end of the day, what I've learned is, you can't give something to someone that you haven't been given. And what I needed from her, nobody had ever given it to her. So hopefully people will watch this movie, and anybody who sees themselves in Ellis French will be warned to do better.
And do you want to talk a little bit about the casting of Gabrielle, and also Jeremy Pope is incredible in this, Book'em Woodbine is incredible in this.
Oh, wow.
Such a dream cast to come together to sort of depict your own life.
Yeah, it was kind of an embarrassment of riches when it comes to talent on set. Gabrielle Union, we initially approached her I approached her, I guess, surreptitiously, because I wanted to initially approach her to be a producer of the film, but knowing that I wanted her to actually act in it. And it took me a minute to kind of build up the courage to ask her to be in the movie. And she wasn't really receptive at first, because she was like, what about my career? What about who I am makes you think that I could play a homophobe? Because she's such a huge ally for our community. But then after a while, I just kind of told her, I'm like, listen, I've seen you do versions of what this character does throughout your whole career. I don't think you've ever had a chance to combine, your beauty and your strength, your intelligence, your resilience in a character like this before in one film. But you've done it, pieces of this in ISIS and Bring It On, pieces of this in Daddy's Little Girls, and so on and so forth. So eventually, through a lot of begging, pleading, she said yes, and I'm very grateful.
I could have left you at any doorstep.
I am never giving up on us.
For Jeremy, it had to be an out Black queer actor, and that actor had to be a phenomenal talent. I knew before I had a first draft of this script that I wanted Jeremy Pope to play Ellis French. After all, you know, he's nominated for 2 Tonys in the same year. He's an Emmy nominee. There's just not that many people that you can just come up with in Hollywood who could do this. And I was really fortunate that when he read the script, he really responded to the material. And right away, we made a deal with each other. You know, we're not going to make this into you impersonating me. This is about, you're a Black queer person too. You have your own experiences that you can bring to the character. And I'm just really proud of what we created together, that Ellis French is really an amalgam of both of our paths as artists.
And the film nods to this, but your experiences in boot camp ultimately kind of led to you becoming a filmmaker because of where you were stationed at. And this is just an incredible story. Do you want to talk a little bit about how boot camp led to, you know, making the inspection?
Sure. I'm trying to make a long story less long. But essentially, I enlisted in the Marine Corps. I took an ASVAB, which is like a placement exam, and I scored really, really high on it. My recruiter marked off what he thought to be the top 3 jobs in the Marine Corps. The first job was intelligence. I'm nobody's snitch. Can't do it. The second job was journalism, and I mean, you're great at it. I'm too biased, too opinionated to do your job well. And the last job was filmmaking, and ironically enough, when I was homeless, I used to steal art books. I mean, I stole lots of things, but art books were especially good because you can resell them for a high value. So when my recruiter was like, have you ever thought about being a filmmaker? I had already read Spike Lee's book. I'd read Raging Bull's Easy Riders and Taxi Drivers, and Grill Marcus's Lipstick Traces, amongst, you know, Pedro Almodovar's books and Stanley Kubrick's books. So I'd had like passing daydreams of being a filmmaker, but not like in any substantial way. So I said yes. And then I get to my first duty station, and you know, I'll never forget it. I was called up to the general's office, and I was a private. And like, you know, the private is like the earth that the ranking ladder stands on, and the general is the sky. You know, so it was terrifying that this man with all this power calls me into his office, and come to find out, he's written a retirement script because he's retiring, and he wanted me to read his script and give him notes on it as to whether or not, like, could this be better? Do you think I'm getting it emotionally across what I want to get across? And I'm like, wow, this is the first time a white straight man has ever asked for my opinion on anything meaningful to him. I'm like, why is he asking me this? Oh, maybe I'm a film director. So yeah, and then by the time I got to college, I started making Peer Kids. So it was just this kind of almost like breadcrumbs in a way. You know, you get one moment, you get the camera, and then you get an intention, and over the course of the past 20 years, this is what I've become.
Wow. And now you're in the midst of award season, which I'll just finally sort of discuss the fact that you, Jeremy, and Gabrielle are all nominated for Spirit Awards, deservedly so. And you know, so you're about to sort of go on this adventure. How does that feel?
It's really surreal. Yesterday, I got to meet Whoopi Goldberg, which was kind of cool, and she liked the movie a lot, which was even cooler. Like I was at a loss for words. I didn't know what to say because I love her so much. And like when I was in Toronto Film Festival, I met Tilda Swinton. I texted her. She took my phone, put her number in my phone. I texted her, and she texted me back. Do you know how many times I've talked to Tilda Swinton in my head, watching movies, seeing her on the red carpet, like, girl, you look great. Thanks, Elegance. You know, and to be actually friendly with her now is kind of amazing. You know, so it's been a real whirlwind, to say the least. Of, you know, it's one thing to have had a life that I've had and end up with the career that I've had, but then as an independent filmmaker, you never, ever in a million years think that your first movie is going to close New York Film Festival and open the Toronto Film Festival and go to London, and you're going to meet famous people who watched your movie and like it and want to be in future movies that you make. And it's just been amazing. So I don't know about the awards part, that's out of my control, but I'm loving the parties. I love the free booze. I love the free food. It's great.
Well, enjoy all of it. It's very deserved. And thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me. Thank you. This is great. Love your apartment.
Thank you. Ready?
I don't ever smile on Polaroids. I don't know what it is.